Nodes are used in flows to construct the bot responses. A typical conversation requires different kinds of bot responses, and there are different categories of nodes to support them. Nodes can be given a name for better identification after being added to a flow. We can then click on the node to configure it. Nodes can be added to a flow in two different ways. The first method is to click on the end of a node that is already added to a flow. Drag the mouse cursor and drop it onto a blank space in the builder to select a node from the list. In this case, the connection between the nodes will be established. The second method is to click on the mouse button on the left of the builder page. After selecting a node of our choice, we can drag and drop it into an empty space on the builder. Now we can click on the end of a node that is already added to a flow. Drag the mouse cursor and drop it onto the node that we just added. The connection between the nodes will now be established. Prompt nodes are used to accept user inputs. Some of the nodes are name, email, quickly replies, carousels, and questions. Values entered by the user in response to these prompts can also be stored for use later. We can find dedicated prompt nodes for capturing name, email, phone number, and location. The advantage of using these nodes is that they have their own built-in validations for the user input based on the expected data type. Message nodes are used to notify a user. Bots do not expect user inputs at this stage. They will execute this node and immediately move on to the next node for execution. A variety of message nodes are supported, which include images, videos, files, quick replies, and carousel. Carousels are a set of cards in which we can add an image, title, description, and a set of buttons that the user can click on. Action nodes are non-interactive nodes in nature, and they are used to perform a specific activity in the background. Some of them are triggering an API, sending an email, performing database operations, searching through documents, modifying string values, and executing functions. A logic node lets the bot evaluate multiple conditions and execute different set of nodes based on the outcome. We can select a variable whose value is to be evaluated, choose between various comparison operators, and mention a value to be matched. We can add multiple conditions to construct a nested if-else ladder and construct different bot responses based on the result of the matching condition. Let us remove this node from the flow and implement our use case with the different types of nodes that the platform offers. After the bot processes the utterance, it detects the mapped intent and triggers the order food flow. It is now the turn of the bot to respond to the user. The bot will now offer the user a choice of cuisines, and the user can make a selection. Since a user input is expected at this stage, we will use a prompt node. The Quick Replies node displays options to the user in the form of buttons, and the user can select one of these buttons to pass on their input. After adding this node to the flow, let us give this node a name and save it. We can configure a response for this node by clicking on it. The node has a single button added to it. We can add multiple buttons by clicking on the Add button. In our use case, we are going to display a couple of cuisine options to the user, North Indian and South Indian. The button name is what the user will see in the bot window when this node is executed by the bot. Click on Advanced Settings to give a few aliases for the button. These aliases will match any user input if typed instead of clicking on the button. The button value can be different from the button name. When the user clicks on a button, it is the button value that is captured, if specified. This can be useful for internal processing. Click on Update after configuring the button. Now we can configure all the buttons in the Quick Replies node in the same manner. The button value and other configurations under Advanced Settings are optional, and these can be left untouched. When the user types something that is not offered by the node, a different flow or a response can be configured using the fallback branch of the node. In this flow, we are adding a text response to say that the specified input is not available. This can be regarded as a logical end of the conversation, as neither a bot response nor a user input is expected at this stage. To prevent ending the conversation, we can create a loop from the fallback response to the Quick Replies node, so that the user gets another attempt to give a valid input. When the user selects a valid option from the ones displayed, the bot can display a set of food options belonging to the selected cuisine. The user has to respond by giving an input again, so let us choose a prompt node. We can use carousels to display a set of cards, each with an image, title, description, and a list of buttons. The user can give their input by clicking on a button on a card. Click on the image placeholder on the card to upload an image. Add a title and a description. We can configure a single button on each card, which allows the user to add their choice of food to a cart. Add a suitable title as the button name. The text message option allows us to map this button name to another value for internal processing. Let us mention the food item here. Click on the Save button. We can click on the Add button in the carousel node to add more food items to this cuisine in the form of cards and configure each of them. We can add a carouse for all the other cuisines offered and configure each carousel with a set of cards. It is also a good practice to assign a unique step name for every node added to a flow. After the user selects the food item, the bot can prompt the user to mention the quantity. For this purpose, let us use the question prompt and configure it with a question or an instruction. All the carousel nodes can be connected to this node. Once the user enters the quantity for the current food selection, the bot can give an option to the user to add more food items to the cart. This can be done with another quick reply node. Configure this node with a couple of buttons so that the user can confirm their choice. If the user selects yes, then we need to loop the user back to the first quick reply in this flow so that they can select a second item by starting with the cuisine selection. If the user selects no, then we can branch out of this loop and acknowledge the selected order with a suitable confirmation message. This is what our flow looks like. Let us try this flow with our bot now. We can trigger this flow with any of the utterances mapped to the related intent. Once the bot triggers the flow, the quick replies node is executed first, through which the user can select a cuisine. On typing an invalid cuisine in the chat, the fallback branch is executed to inform the user that the selected cuisine is unavailable, and the bot executes the quick replies node again. When the user clicks on one of the displayed options, then the corresponding carousel prompt is executed and all the configured cards are displayed in a horizontally scrollable fashion. If we click on one of the buttons mapped to the cards, the selection is captured and the question prompt is executed to let the user specify the quantity. The bot executes the next quick replies node to let us choose between ordering another item or finalizing the order. On selecting yes, the flow is executed again from the first quick replies node to allow us to add more food items. If we select no, the bot exits this conversation loop with the configured message and ends the flow.